Hey everyone, Disappointed Giant here. So welcome to the 6th and final Returnal video in our Returnal Longplay series. As we have before, we're picking up exactly where we left off from the end of the 5th video. So I think I'm going to take a quick look here at our equipment. Yep, I'm going to see what we got. Got a bunch of parasites, currently using the Electropylon driver, which is a really good weapon, does some good DOT. And I'm just sort of scrolling through some artifacts, I think just highlighting the important ones. The astronaut figurine is going to give me an extra life, which is really important. And just going through some of the parasite effects. You know, in the top right, you can see my stats. Everything's green, so I have better repair efficiency, more weapon damage. You know, it's just all good stuff. My alt fire cooldown is less. So I'm in good shape. So here we are. So we're in the 6th and final level. Clearly things here are a lot different. So we are now completely underwater. We made our way down the, I think it's called not fractured waste. Is it fractured waste? I already forget. We made our way through the fifth biome. Went down into a huge pool of water, and we're just going to continue to descend and descend and descend. The metaphor is thick. The allegory, whatever it is, the metaphor is really thick here. So, as I did in the other videos, a couple of quick, I almost said announcements, like it's that big of a deal, but first thing is there's a lot of movement, especially here in this level. There's a lot of floaty stuff. It can be really disorienting. So if you are someone who struggles with motion sickness or get dizzy with a lot of movement, just want you to be aware of that, because the whole game's like that. And especially, like I said, especially this biome, I'm already doing it now. I'm running in one direction. I'm zipping the camera around. And the second thing is, except for the ending, which we're going to showcase at the very end of this run, I'm not going to focus on story spoilers, but there are gameplay spoilers. So clearly, since I'm at the end of the game, I have all of the abilities that you can get. So I'm going to use all of them, including the, I forget what the actual name of it is, but whatever it is that allows me to be underwater. That's the final upgrade that you get at the end of, not the final upgrade, it's the upgrade that you get at the end of the 5th biome that allows you to hop in that giant abyss and make your way down here into Abyssal Scar, which is maybe the coolest biome name ever. I love it. Such a vibe. But yeah, so we're making our way through towards the end, the final biome here, final part of the game. As I had mentioned before, there's 2 acts. Biomes 1, 2, and 3 function as a single act. Biomes 4, 5, and 6 function as a single act. So it's basically two separate runs, if you want to think of it that way. So this is the end of the end. So from a thematic standpoint, there's a lot of stuff that's been going on, story wise and lore wise, and this is it's a very big moment for Celine and for the player for the first time they experience this to make their way all the way down here. So so the inverse. So I mentioned in the last video that is it fractured waste? Can't be fractured waste, it's fractured shrines, right? Maybe it is fractured waste. But the biome 5, the waste that we just made our way through, is the inverse of the crimson waste, level 2. And this is meant to be the inverse of the derelict citadel. So the giant sort of citadel, the giant level biome 3, whereas that one, there's a lot of large structures, a bunch of outdoor space similar to this, where you're continually going up and up and up. This one you're going down and down the whole time. So I really, like I mentioned in the last video or the fourth video, whatever, I really appreciate how each level reflects its opposite. It's really super inventive, and I think it makes, from a thematic standpoint, I think it's fantastic, but also I'm sure from a gameplay planning and programming perspective, instead of having 6 completely different levels, like I said, if you were playing through this, you might not initially pick up on that, maybe aside from biome 4, because it's so similar to the first one in certain aspects. But even from a gameplay perspective and a programming perspective, I think it's great. Also, I've gone over a lot of stuff in the past 5 videos. Dropped a lot of stuff piecemeal as we've been, going through each biome and, going through the rooms and stuff. So if you want to catch up, please, these are meant to be a series, so I recommend checking out or at least skimming through the other videos if this is the first one that you've clicked on. And also, if you're not too familiar with Returnal and you want to learn more about it, I have a beginner's guide that I put together that goes over all the basics. Why am I doing certain things? Why did I give up a weapon that has level 2 traits to unlock a level 1 trait? It's because you should always unlock weapon traits. But it goes into more detail about that. So if you're not too familiar with the game and you haven't seen the other videos, the beginner's guide is a good place to start. So we're rolling here. So I feel like I've covered. I'm just going to take a moment here to think about mechanics. I think over the course of this series, we've actually covered all of the important stuff, right? Parasites, malfunctions, health upgrades, and healing. What else did we talk about? Weapon traits, alt fires, upgrades, challenge rooms. I think we've covered pretty much everything. So I think that this, I don't know how this commentary is going to iron out since I'm doing it, right now. But I have a feeling this is going to just be like a mix of sort of like live stuff, what's going on, as well as a little bit of wrap up, a little bit of overview and wrap up too. So, all right. So am I going to fall here? I think I fall at some point here and take damage. So one of the main enemies that you're going to see here are like these octopi or whatever you like, that thing right there in the middle of the screen. It rears up, its tentacles come red, and then it comes flying right at you. So no matter what weapon you have, there it is. No matter what weapon you have, you kill it in one hit, right? So really easy to kill, but they're everywhere. They can attack you from off screen, so you may not actually see where it's coming from, and you end up getting tagged. And the more annoying thing about it for me personally is that they drop your adrenaline level. So if you take a hit when you have any adrenaline, you go back to 0. So it's a really it's an interesting loop where you're able to kill a bunch of those pretty quickly, get your adrenaline level up, and then one of them will buzz at you, and then your adrenaline level goes back down. So I feel like overall there's not a lot of adrenaline consistency with those enemies there. But again, the good news is that they all die in one hit, so it's not terrible, not too terrible, but can throw you off your game a little bit, especially like me. I have the adrenaline fury. I forget exactly what the artifact is called, but you can see in the bottom left it says ×5 weapon damage increased. Every adrenaline level pumps my outgoing damage by 25%, or excuse me, by 5%. So if you take a hit, you're going to lose the extra goods. So that's something, at least for stuff like this. And again, there's another one called Adrenaline Leech, where you will gain health back by attacking enemies when you have an adrenaline level. So those kind of things can sort of get a little bit messed up here. But and the other good news about those enemies, like I said, you kill them in one hit, but they will also count towards your weapon trait unlocking. So I'm not going to do it here because I didn't want to farm on camera, but I think we might actually see one around here. But there are these like spawning stations where basically there is an enemy that will infinitely spawn those little octopi there. So if you're trying to farm weapon traits, right? If you're trying to get the level 3 weapon traits, which you may have noticed, I've passed up several times throughout all of these videos, because it takes 100 enemies to get that trait maxed out. And unless you're here, right, where you have an infinite number of enemies that die in one hit, those traits take a long time to upgrade. So if I were playing off camera, right here, Protection Steel, I would have grabbed that one. I did grab it. Okay, so maybe we are going to do a little bit of extra enemy damage here, but I would camp out near one of those spawning points, and I would just kill kill 100 enemies. You know, it might take 3 minutes, 2, 3, 4 minutes, whatever it is. Just kick back, kill all the enemies as they spawn, get your weapon trait completely maxed out, and then destroy the spawner and move on. Similar, I guess these are more. Oh, there we go. Oh, saved by the grapple hook. That's so sick. You may have noticed as I fall down pits, I will frantically move the camera around looking for a grapple hook, so that way I can use it to save fall damage like I just did there. That was so sick. But addition to the fact that they spawn all those enemies, which I think are going to come out of one of these chests too. The spawners will also always drop a weapon, so that way you can level up your trait, do what you need to do, and then you can get a better weapon. And then, you know, if there's a level 3 or level 2 trait or whatever locked up, you can use the next spawner to get it. So really helpful sort of mechanic there. I just used a parasite harvester. I think maybe I was at a point where I just didn't really care. All the parasites I had did not necessarily affect the game that much. I don't have the additional, the one that lets you survive an additional killing blow. So, you know, I just use a recycler to get rid of my malfunction and just clear out one of those parasites that I probably didn't need here. This room is great. I love this room. So this is probably going to grab hyper accurate. Yeah, I do. So this is one of the bonus rooms you can find here. Gives you a calibrator, so that way you'll be able to get a little bit more proficiency. Hard decision there, trying to figure out what trait I wanted to take. And then there's three chests. So you're going to upgrade your proficiency, which means the weapons are going to be of higher quality that come out of the chests. So it sets you up for a little bit of success, especially, you know, like I mentioned, this is the end of the game. Your proficiency is going to be high. So you can see here I'm at level 29, which is almost as high as it can get. You can go all the way up to 30. So I'm almost at the cap here. But that means there's going to be 4 traits, I think. 3 or 4 traits on the gun. So really starting to get into the more powerful end game, super great guns. So yeah, I really like that room there. So here we go. So this challenge room was an absolute disaster. Straight up, I remember this was, I think I almost died in this room. So it's a little tricky. So again, you got these octopi flying from everywhere. They don't do a ton of damage, but they're screwing up my adrenaline level, which means I'm doing less damage in general. And here we go. These are the spawners that I was talking about. I'm not going to spend too much time trying to upgrade weapons, even though there's a bunch here that will show up. I decided to grab the wide maw. I know earlier I mentioned it wasn't the best weapon or the best upgrade for the spit maw, but here it's great because since it only takes 1 pellet to kill those enemies, I grab it because it's super helpful. And then now that those enemies are gone, I grab the pyro shell caster, trying to take out this elite here. It's going to shoot those little red arrows at me that are going to do malfunctions. And then the final phase of this optional challenge room has 2 of the most challenging enemies in the game and also in the biome. So you have these giant lizard-like dudes. There we go. I got two malfunctions off the bat. They throw those malfunction bullets at you. They do a ton of damage. And when you have 2 of them side by side, it's rough. There we go. So I ended up taking a hit. Which means I got my 3rd malfunction, which is a critical. Look at my health, almost gone. So I'm panicking. I'm saying, "Oh my god, I have to get here. I gotta make it through here." So I get a critical malfunction. One of my artifacts got destroyed. So the 3rd, if you have 2 malfunctions, the 3rd one's going to destroy a piece of your kit, and that's what happened there. I used a consumable that slows time down for 10 seconds because I was just in such a poor spot. And I think here. Excuse me, I think here I'm actually able to finish this off without taking another malfunction, without taking any extra damage. Nope, that's a lie. Took damage. I took damage. So there we go. So I used all my consumables except for 1 to get through that. So that challenge room was horrible. Horrible. So if you choose to come into the challenge room here at the in Abyssal Scar, like, Just be careful. Be super careful. One of my malfunctions will go away when I fabricate something, and I realize that I have a free fabricator here at the end of at the bonus room here. So I'm going to open. So it's an augment. I was hoping that it was going to be an artifact, so that way I could bang out both malfunctions at once. But going to use that fabricator. Going to remove one of the malfunctions, and here we go. Got an artifact too. So now they're both gone. But yeah, that was rough. So I think I'm going to take a loop here. Definitely going to pick up all of the green Sylphium so I can heal. And I think I'm going to take another look at what weapons are on the map. So that way I can maybe, even though I'm in the middle of unlocking a trait, maybe I can find something that's going to be a little bit of a better fit for me as I make my way through. I choose not to take anything, I don't think. Yep, just double checking the Spitmaw. Then I'm going to be on my way. So that was, I'm going to take the Hollow Seeker, I think. What are we doing here? DG, what are you going to do, bro? What are we thinking here? This is great. I got so shook in that room that I don't even remember. I don't even remember what I do. I do decide to take the portal turret. Here we go. So I think this might be one of the only weapons that I actually haven't talked about yet. You get the Hollow Seeker at the beginning of the second biome. Once you make it through the desert and into the bottom of the tower, this is right on a like a little altar. In the beginning, so Hollow Seeker is like, it has like a very distinct sort of arc, I feel like. So it's almost like if you were to look at a graph, it starts high, goes down the middle, and then ends high. So basically, when you first get this weapon, it's so enjoyable to use. You have a ton of bullets. It's really satisfying. The noise is satisfying. It's just such a really, really great weapon at first. But then once you start to, get further up, not in difficulty, but as you make your way through the biomes, there are certain traits that really don't do a lot. So it drops off a little bit. So the portal beam that I picked up is really great. It will do exactly what it says. It'll spawn a portal, so that way you can shoot. It'll shoot a beam out an enemy. Portal turret will start a turret that shoots at enemies, so you get like extra damage that you don't have to worry about. I think, what am I doing here? I think I buy both Sylphium vials instead of the upgrade. Yeah, so I choose to get the healing here, because I can increase my health by 25%, but if I'm getting destroyed, it doesn't matter, right? You take so much damage. Like you saw those floating lizard dudes, I took so much damage, it's almost not going to matter. So I'd rather have the heals. But there's a lot of good affixes on Hollow Seeker, but there's also some ones that really aren't that great. So I feel like when you first get it, it's amazing. Drops off, especially as you start to get other things like the Pyroshell Caster and the Electropylon Driver and all that stuff. But then later in the game, when you're able to stack these affixes, you can find some really good stuff. So the two pest affixes that you're going to look for are serrated projectiles and retarget. So what that does is it turns the bullets into things that can do damage over time, which you'll see from the green. The health bars turn green. There you go. So instead of it being orange or yellow, whatever it is, turns green. And what retarget does is it makes your bullets hit additional enemies. So there you go. So look at the difference. So portal turret, serrated, it did so much damage to those dudes that almost knocked me out in that last run. Last room, I should say. But yeah, so later in the game, Hollow Seeker is super good. I'm thinking here's another mechanic. So this basically is a revive. Costs you 6 ether, and I'm still, like I said, I'm still shook from that. I'm still shook from that challenge room. So now I'm starting to question myself. I'm like, all right, man, you were super confident early. Biome 4 was great. Biome 5 wasn't too bad. Now I'm like, what if I lose this, right? So even though I have the astronaut figurine, I do this as even more backup. So now I have 2 revives. First thing that's going to pop if I make it that far is the astronaut figurine. So that way I will end up getting... Get ourselves a cipher here too. What's up? That's sick. So that way I'll end up having 2 lives, so the astronaut will pop. If I die after that, what will happen is I will end up respawning in that area right there. reconstructors only work for the level that you're in. So if you were to use a reconstructor in biome 1 and then you go to biome 2 and you die there, you're not going to respawn. So it's only a one biome one time thing, but I just did that for a little bit of extra insurance there. So man. Man. So on a recording note, I recorded the first audio, or I should say the commentary for the first level last night. I finished that video. That's the first one that I'm going to put out. And then I've done all of the other commentary today. So this is actually my fifth. Yikes. This is my fifth video in a row. I've just been going one after the other, just banging them out because like I'm in that mindset. I don't want to like do part of a run and then wait a week and then commentate the next one and not really pick up the thread where I was. So if I'm a little bit fatigued, if my voice is starting to get a little bit scratchy, that's why I was just cranking through as many of these as I can as I continue to take fall damage. So I think here, so this is where that shield disruptor artifact that I lost would have been great. I could have dropped the shield on that guy way more easy, or I should say easier, and then I would not have needed to go over there. I probably wouldn't have fallen and taken that fall damage, etc. So really unfortunate that I had that critical malfunction, but what are you going to do? I got absolutely rocked in that challenge room. Absolutely rocked. And you may notice here, there's a little bit of similarity. So sometimes rooms can spawn more than once. As I mentioned in I think it was the biome, might have been biome 3. I forget. I think it was biome 3. Again, I did all these videos today. I don't remember which is which. But the rooms are completely handcrafted, right? So instead of having pieces of a room procedurally generated, similar to Hades, the entire room generates at once. So you may see repeat rooms, and that's what happened. I was in that room, same exact room, maybe 5-10 minutes ago, whatever it was. Not the end of the world. Again, I got some obolites in there, and here we go. So I also told you folks, I love this room. So here we go. So we're at another room here, same one that we got into before. I'm trying to make a decision here. I'm pretty sure I pick up the Coil Spine Shredder, which is, I think, I'm like, do I want Portal Beam 3? Thinking about it. I'm fairly certain I go back. This is a long time to think. I grab the Coil Spine. So at this point, we've talked about every single weapon, or we will. So this is the last weapon, I think, that I haven't talked about. Coil Spine is basically a sniper rifle. So you can charge it up and you shoot out one disc. Depending on the affixes or the weapon traits, you may find 2 or 3 discs, but it just shoots out a really high-powered, like a railgun sniper rifle type thing. Shoots out one really high-powered projectile. It can leave you open because it takes a little bit, like you can see there, takes a little bit of time to reload, and unlike the Lobber, which also only has, by default, it only has one one projectile in it, it doesn't do additional damage over time, so you're putting yourself at a little bit of a deficit there. The reason I picked this one up is I wasn't intentionally picking up to say like, hey, I want to showcase all the weapons. I'm just really glad it worked out that way. I picked it up primarily because there's a weapon trait on this called Retarget. So similar to, I think it's called Retarget on the Hollow Seeker, like I was just mentioning. Similar to that, when you hit an enemy with the disc, it will move to another enemy. So you're like here, you can see I killed 2 of those with one disc. The final boss of this level has weak points that you bring out, and then if you use the Coil Spine on it, it will bounce between the weak points and it will chunk the boss. Super heavy, so it's very good choice. I'm pretty sure I think I missed this thing like 2 or 3 times. Yeah, I remember I kept missing this. I'm pretty sure that I take this all the way through without swapping out even to unlock a trait. So this is going to be the last weapon that we see. This is going to be the end of our weapon discussion. I unlocked, I think it was twin discs, which means It's going to shoot out a second small disc. When I go to shoot next time, you'll be able to see it. It's like a little, the circle for the bullet has a smaller circle under it. So that shows that it's going to be shooting out 2 discs. It's just like a little additional damage. You know, it's nothing crazy, nothing really worth writing home about. Man, I love that. When that enemy starts to do that attack, like you just stand there and it envelops you, but you don't take any damage. It's great. I'm gonna open this chest here just to see, just in case. Here we go. Expanding explosives, unbelievable. If I were playing normally off camera, I would have grabbed that, but like I said, I use that a lot at the end of video 4, the beginning of video 5, so I didn't want to grab it there. And something else, you know, I probably should have mentioned this earlier, but you know, if you're watching the whole series, you're going to get it. You're going to get everything at once anyways. So one of the ways that I like to approach rooms, and I mentioned this a little bit in the 5th biome video actually, but I like to kind of poke my head in and see what the room is. So that way you can see what's going to spawn, how much time you have, if there's obstacles that you can hide behind, etc. Oh no, I actually did take the, what do you call it? I took the Hollow Seeker. It must be just to clear out the room in the biome. I'm definitely going to go back to the coil spine there. But I like to kind of pop my head in and just sort of see what's up, you know, take out some enemies at a distance if I can without running all the way in and letting everything spawn, because that's where things can go sideways really quickly. So this room always spawns at the end. So like a lot of other levels, you have to get a key in order to proceed. This level will always spawn, but the actual platform generation in the middle is always going to be different. So you can see here, it's kind of like like a square sort of shape, or like a T, or whatever it ends up being. That shape will change, but the room will always be the same. You notice as soon as I walked in, I ran all the way back to the beginning. That way I could get some distance from the octopi, whatever. I don't even know what I'm doing it again here. It's so cool. Get some distance from them, so that way I can take them out as best I can. And since, oh man, more fall damage, huh? So that's the other thing too. Since you're underwater, your jump mechanics are different, your movement mechanics are different. Not an excuse by any means. You know, that's just the nature of this level in general. There's a lot of hits, but does take a little bit of adjusting. You know, especially if you haven't been here a lot and you've already spent, you know, 10, 20, 30 hours or whatever with normal physics. Like it's a little bit challenging, right? But I decided to go all the way back to the beginning of the level, so that way, or I should say the room, so that way I could put some space there. And not be in the middle of the elite as well as all of the other floating enemies here. So this is a final room here before we get to the last boss. Again, this is the dude who's going to be throwing those malfunction bullets at you. I used my consumable, the reflex stimulant, which slows time down for 10 seconds. I did not want to take any what's the word I'm looking for? Didn't want to take any risk here. And I think that's also why I decided to grab the Dreadbound, so that way I knew I could just bomb through this and not really have much of an issue. But yep, normally there's a key on that pedestal at the bottom of the level. You grab it, you go all the way back to the split path that I walked by earlier to open the door and make your way to the final boss. So we're almost done. So this is clearly the last video in the series. I'm going to grab this Alt-Fire Augment because why not? I have the money and there's nothing else to spend it on at this point. But we made it all the way through. Yeah, like I said, I recorded 5 of these today. They go by very quickly. You know, these videos are shorter than my usual long plays. You know, my Dead Cells video is like an hour 20, whatever it is. So these are shorter, but also this has been really fun for me. It's been going by really quickly because I have been genuinely enjoying this entire process, entire experience. I loved getting the footage. I loved getting through the commentary. And I think here, don't even tell me I take this into the last boss. I thought I took retarget. Oh, maybe I don't. Oh man. Okay. So, I had mentioned before that I recorded footage and had to scrap it because it got corrupt. In the previous footage, I took the coil spine into the final boss. I don't do that here. I actually take the Dreadbound, and we're just gonna destroy this dude the way that we destroyed Hyperion at the end of the 4th biome. So sorry about that. I feel like I set us up for something that is not gonna happen. As we get ready to go into the boss room, there's always a parasite up here. I don't take it. It doesn't. I probably take it just because who cares, right? I have an extra slot for it, like whatever. Doesn't have much of a difference, but there's always a parasite there. You may luck into the parasite that gives you an extra life if it detaches, so something to think about just popping up there. And this is it. So we're making our way to the final boss. If you do not want to be spoiled, this is a good time to bounce out. If you do want to check it out as we continue to descend, here we go. So this boss fight's probably going to be a little bit quick, Actually, I think in the 3rd phase, if I'm remembering correctly, I do not attack it for a while, so that way you can see its attacks and sort of what the boss vibe's like. But this is Ophion. So there's, again, like every boss, there's 3 phases, but they're all lore. It's all thematic, right? So I think, trying to see, every face is different here, right? So I think that this face may represent Celine's mom. Not 100% positive, but the way that you want to fight this boss is you shoot the orbs. It will spawn weak points, and then you shoot the weak points. Look at that. Look at that. Expanding explosive is so good. Oh my god, it's so good. So here we go. 2nd phase, we got ourselves a skull. Immediately 2nd phase gets destroyed. And now here I'm like, all right, man, if you're showcasing the game and you're showcasing the final boss, here we go. The final phase is the astronaut. I think maybe this is Celine's mom. I'm not positive, but yeah, you got the astronaut. You got to slow down, dude. You got to slow down. So here I purposely do not do much, so that way I can showcase some of the effects, some of the attacks here. Excuse me. So those purple beams, as I mentioned before, those purple beams and these purple rings, those you cannot dodge through. So purple little orbs like we've seen from I think like Freak A and Hyperion or whatever, you can dodge through those, but those dark purple orbs you cannot. So something to be mindful of. I've dodged through a bunch of those thinking that I was going to make it off scot-free, and I didn't. So but yeah, here we go. We have Ophion's got some pretty sweet bullet hell patterns. Feels a little bit more paced than the other bosses. Again, the boss scaling is great because you're not going to take a ton of damage. And I'm just starting at this point. I'm like, all right, we've been hanging for like a minute or two. Let's get this show on the road. So hitting all the weak points, finishing things up, and yeah, that's going to be the end of the final boss. Once maybe I'm waiting again where I'm like, oh, that was super quick. But once we get that last weak point out of the way, we are going to be wrapping things up. Another thing to note here is that there's 2 weed type things. There's like two rock formations or whatever behind us. I'm actually going to show one of them before I hop down the pit. Those have Silphium in them, so if you're running low on health, it's a good idea to break those and then use them when you need them. But there we go. One of the disappointments folks have is they say the last boss is really easy, but for me, thematically, it's really cool. And we're going to take one more huge plunge as we go as deep as we can go here. So we wrapped up the series here. So this is the end of the long play. After this is going to be a very spoiler ending. So if you're not interested in seeing the ending, I recommend bouncing at some point. But here we are. So thanks for watching the video. If you've stuck with me for the whole series, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this. Hope it was enjoyable. Again, it's not Dead Cells, but I love this game so much that I really wanted to dedicate some time and some videos to it. So here we go. Here we go. That's the end. So enjoy the ending. As always, thanks for watching, and good luck out there.
Hello?